Hey guys, Mike Cologne here, and I have my hands on the brand new A6300. I wanted to share that with you, share some of my experiences, and share some custom camera settings that I found very useful for this camera. I've been out here all day, like shooting squirrels, birds, lizards, like whatever I could find that's moving. The reason being, I think the biggest and best feature of this camera is the autofocus capability, the autofocus tracking capabilities, especially at high frame rates. One of the key features that they've improved on this camera from the A6000 is the live view. So like you could be continuously shooting, continuously tracking in autofocus, and have a full-time live view at up to 8 frames a second. So I think that's pretty amazing. I've tested it out and I've been very impressed. I still like 11 frames a second. I don't know, the speed just kind of, for me, is more important than absolutely no choppiness in tracking. But I can understand if you have a sporadically moving subject that is unpredictable and it's hard to track. I could think of a few situations like a volleyball game or basketball game or something where people are moving quickly and you don't want to lose track of them. This has 425 phase detection autofocus points. This camera also has silent mode, which is awesome. I call it stealth mode because nobody could hear you shooting. I was sneaking up on a squirrel today and I left it in silent mode, and the poor squirrel never saw me coming. Most importantly, this camera was able to lock on and track him, and what's so cool is that I could find my focus selector on my subject, and then either he takes off running or moving and it'll track him, or he's staying put and I could recompose the image however I want, and it tracks his face, his eyes, and keeps them sharp. So that's a huge thing. Having those focus selector points all the way to the edge is actually pretty cool. They've made the body stronger. They've made it out of magnesium alloy, and they've added dust protection and moisture protection. And so paired with like an FE lens, this camera is now weather resistant, which is awesome. What else? The camera body's stronger. There's also a nice texture to it. So as opposed to the A6000 was a smooth texture, this one has kind of that military grade matte black texture, which I love. It matches all my other cameras now, and it's just a cooler, refined look. I think it's nice. Doesn't leave fingerprints and things like that as well. I think, yeah, there's my squirrel friend running through the bushes back behind me, and he just couldn't get enough of me today. What else? So a better viewfinder. They've added a viewfinder that's 2.1 million dots. It also is capable of 120 frames per second refresh rate. So you get more lifelike, real life view in the viewfinder, which is important. You know, like I think people that are hesitant to switch over to mirrorless, I think that's a key feature. I mean, the A7R2 and the A7S2, they all have this already. This camera just stepped it up in that regard as well. So 24 megapixels, 51,000 ISO for the max ISO. I was playing around with this camera at the IBJJF Pan American Championships. It's a jiu-jitsu championship tournament, and I was photographing these fighters in, like, you know, pretty low light. I was shooting at like 2500 ISO, and those lights are very fluorescent. They were flickering a little bit, and the camera did really well. I was shooting with this lens, the f4 70-200, and was able to track my subject and find focus very easily, and the image quality looked pretty amazing. I'll throw some of those images in this video as well. The key feature of this lock-on is that, you know, you can pick which subject the camera locks onto based on your focus selector point, and then if that subject's moving or if you move the camera to recompose, it locks on. I think that's a huge feature. But this expanded flexible spot, if it can't find focus in that focus selector spot that you chose, it'll look outside of that, just outside of that, and expand the focus selecting spot in order to find something to focus on and lock onto. So what else? AF mode set to continuous, and the AF area set to lock on expandable flexible spot. So those are the two main features. Continuous mode lets you track, and the flexible spot lock on, that's expandable flexible spot, so I can move that thing around. That's the AF area setting. The center button here I believe it's defaulted to this focus standard, but if not, go ahead and customize that center button to focus standard. And what that does is it easily activates and deactivates your flexible spot. So if I want to move that spot around in order to change composition or track a subject kind of on the edge of the frame or towards the middle, whatever I want to do, that center button now activates that spot, so I can easily move it around. So it's on my thumb already, and I can move that around. The cool thing with this camera, I've noticed it's different from the a6000 and actually different from the other cameras, even the a7S and a7R too, is that focus selector will remain active. I can be shooting, and then that focus selector will remain active, so I can move it around whenever I want without having to press any buttons. And I think that's huge, especially for sports photographers or even wedding photographers, where I'm having to compose images and track subjects and move that focus selector around quite often. Even if I want to choose a subject between a crowd, like the bride and groom are there at the cocktail reception or their first dance, and there's heads and people all around, and I don't want like the focus jumping to other people. I want it to go cut right through the crowd. I move my focus selector around quite a bit, and I like to choose my spot. And so this active focus selector is pretty awesome. So it's active, but then, you know, there's some other settings you can use this wheel for. So if you want to hit that center button, it deactivates the focus selector, kind of locks it in wherever you left it. You can use the other features on this focus wheel, like ISO, you know, AF drive settings, display settings, and your exposure comp and things like that. You can now change those settings, and then if you want to go back and reactivate your focus selector to move it again, you can just hit the center button again. So it's pretty cool. It's always active, and when I want to shut it off, I can very easily with this button, and when I want to reactivate it, it's there for me with that button. So make sure you set that center button to focus standard. And then, okay, there's two settings here. This button is really two buttons. You know, you have a switch on it. So when you flip it up to AF/MF, this should be set to focus control hold. So it's AF/MF control hold. What this does is, like, when I'm in autofocus mode, this will turn off my autofocus and it'll switch to manual focus mode. When I'm in manual focus, this will actually turn on my autofocus. So that's for like photographers that want to deactivate the shutter release. You can actually, in the custom settings, deactivate your shutter release and set this to control hold. So I could be set to manual focus mode. I could be, you know, shooting away, focusing manually, or I could just be tracking with my thumb on this button and then shooting away. Some photographers like that. I think sports photographers really like that because they can separate their timing with their focus. And I actually like to switch to this mode when I'm shooting for UFC. I shoot cage fighting, and I like to be able to focus through the cage, find my subject, and then let go of my focus and just shoot away until the fighters get closer or further away from me. That way I know I'm not missing a shot. I know that my timing's right. I'm not letting the camera jump to the cage or jump to the background. I can, you know, set it to this mode. So AF/MF would be focus control hold. That'll either activate your focus if you're in manual focus mode, or it'll deactivate if you're in autofocus mode, and that's a key setting there. And then when you flip it down to auto exposure lock, I customized this AEL button to be eye autofocus. And so this is another huge feature that Sony has over its competitors. It's called eye autofocus, and it's an amazing feature that I don't understand why no one's come up with it until now, but maybe the technology wasn't there, but it actually finds the eyeball, focuses on the eyeball, and you can recompose how you want, and it just locks onto the eye. So that's an awesome feature when you're shooting portraits, or anytime you have a subject looking at the camera and you want to lock onto their eye. It's there for me. I just flip this down and I hold this with my thumb and I can shoot away. So that was that setting. I think that's it. Just a quick recap on the settings. Oh, and I wanted to mention one more thing. When I hold this down, when it's in AF/MF mode, I hold this down to hold my autofocus. So that basically kills my autofocus. So I switch to manual focus there. I can grab the focus ring and I could fine tune the focus, and it'll even zoom for me if I have AF or if I have MF assist turned on. As I turn this focus ring, it'll jump in and bring my subject really close, like macro photography, and now I can see the eyes get sharp, or whatever I'm focusing on get really sharp. And then I could tap this, go back to full frame and shoot, and this whole time I'm in manual focus mode. So it's pretty awesome. I have like the best of both worlds. I have manual focus capabilities, I have continuous tracking capabilities. Actually, three worlds. I have Also kind of a single shot mode where I can focus, recompose, and shoot, all built into one kind of setup. So just the quick recap again, I'm in continuous mode for my focusing mode, and I'm in flexible spot, lock on, expand flexible spot is what it's called, for my focus area. And then I customize the center button to focus standard, and I customize AF/MF to focus control hold, and I customize my AEL button, which is the same button, just switched down to eye autofocus. And then, one more is the C1 button on top. When I'm in manual focus mode, because I shoot with some other lenses, I shoot with like adapted lenses, like a Zeiss Otis and like my Nikon 200-2.0. So when I'm using adapted lenses, or I'm in some kind of manual focus mode, or even if I'm shooting with a macro lens and I want to be in manual focus mode, this C1 button is customized to be my focus zoom. So I could jump in, again, so I can zoom again, and like really fine tune the manual focus. So I like that C1 set to that. I think that's it, and I'm going to show you some images. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section down below. If you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe to the channel. And there'll be more of these videos coming soon. Take care and God bless.
3, 2, 1.